Hi YouTube, please give me a moment while I connect to Facebook. We'll be getting started shortly. Okay, I think we should be live on Facebook. Hi everybody, welcome to our weekly broadcast. I am Sami, Director of Education at T3 Live. Hope you're doing well. Hope your weekend is going great. We're going to talk about the market. We'll go over the swing ideas that I have lined up for tomorrow. But before we start, as always, a standard required disclaimer to let you know that trading is risky and that whatever we discuss in this video is for educational purposes only. If you're new to our channel and would like to download a copy of my free ebook, I assure you, you will not regret it. Link in the description. And if you find benefit in today's video, be sure to hit the like button. If you have any questions, leave a comment or email us, info@t3live.com. Okay, info@t3live.com. So we've been trying to figure out whether this is, whether this market is turning bearish or not. And my whole thing was, it might have been the top, but it's extremely hard to go to turn bearish when the market is right at the rising 20 MA. If you told me to be bearish right here, I would have said, that would have been idiotic. If I told you to be bearish when price was at or near the rising 20. And so the same thing here. Was that the top? Well, on the Qs it looked a lot worse, right? We were already below the 20, but still, was that the top? You just never know. You just never know. When it's a grind, when the trend accelerates, goes parabolic away from the 20, sure, you can, as soon as we take out the prior bars low, you can assume that it's the top. But when price is not far from the 20, right, following the 20 period moving average, it's incredibly difficult to figure out whether it's a longer term top or a short term top. The vast majority of the time, it's going to be a short term top because the trends tend to continue. So we have a tight uptrend, it tends to continue, and they go on forever sometimes. And so that appears to be what's happening here. This was just a pullback, and we're headed back up. If you look at the SPY, I mean, that's a thing of beauty. And if you look at the IWM, my goodness, that was really, really bullish. So the bias should be back to bullish. Now, I'm not saying the bias is back to bullish starting tomorrow, meaning tomorrow we might have the most likely type of bar we get is a narrow range bar or a cross or, a bar like this one. Or a small bar, basically. It could be a small green, small red, or a doji bar, but we don't usually get another wide range green bar. Not usually. Sometimes we do, like this day. We got follow through to the upside. So we don't know for sure, but most likely course of action is to get an indecision bar, a resting day tomorrow. And if we do, and let's say, we get a doji bar right here, and then we proceed to take it out on Tuesday, then that should give us a 1, 2, 3 setup. That should constitute follow through. So, so tomorrow I would take it easy, but Tuesday, if we continue higher, then that should be confirmation that we are indeed higher in the long term, but also in the short term. But yeah, the bias for me is back to bullish unless we somehow fail on this pivot that just formed. If you fail on the pivot, then it's a different story. But as long as you don't fail on the pivot, then you have to assume that the trend will continue. So, okay, so that's kind of the line in the sand is the pivot that formed on the Qs, the SPY, the IWM, and the overall bias is going to be bullish for me going forward. In terms of the swing ideas, here's what I got lined up for tomorrow. The day after wide range bar, there might not be a lot because all the bullish stuff is already popped. But the day after that, so on Tuesday, we should start to have a lot of nice ideas. But we do have a few decent ones for tomorrow already. This is the ACDC. I often play stocks that gap down a huge amount and that set up for a breakout. So this is setting up for a breakout. Long over the base, stop under it. We have 2 of them actually 3 if you want to include the IT with that list. So the VKTX is another one, base breakout, stop under the pivot, and then the IT, but it already triggered. But the 20 MA is not too far above, but actually on the larger time frame, this looks really, really good. On the monthly and the weekly, looks good, higher. So it already triggered, but it's not too late. It's just that I don't know what the target is. If you say the target is right here, then it's not big enough of a target. If you say no, it will pop, maybe come back in and then continue higher, which I think is the most likely course of action, and maybe to 300 or so, then this would be worthwhile doing, the IT. Now, when I say I often look to play big gap downs that set up long on a breakout, this is what I mean. I played the REPL. I called it in the newsletter, and it literally closed up 101% on this day. Now, it triggered the day before, and it went up like 20%, 24, I think. And then the next day it went up another 100%, and that was the target. $8 was the target because it was the declining 20 on the daily chart. I didn't expect it would get there in 2 days, so that was luck. That part of it is luck, but this is what I mean is if I see a setup after a big gap down, a breakout setup on the hourly chart, I play it. In this case, because the stock was still far from the prior pivot high, the entry was right here. Basically, the stop was right here. But when the stock is basing at the prior high, then you just play it above the prior high. So right here would be the entry, and the stop would be right about there. And then the target, the 20 MA. So about $5, I would say, maybe slightly more, depending on how long it takes to reach, to move up, to reach that declining 20. So we have 1, we have 2, and we have 3 that are virtually the same type of play. The REPL happens to be on my list here, not because it's another base breakout, it's actually because it's a pullback. So it's kind of, so here's the initial move, but then there's a pullback right here, long, and then stop, and then target. Okay, so this is more of a buy setup. Let me look at the weekly chart. I don't honestly remember what the weekly chart looked like. Yeah, not amazing. So I'll probably be passing on it. It's just one of the ideas that I have for today. I've gone ahead and updated the tracking sheet or the Google sheet that I use to send out the newsletter in the morning. You can access it if you're a subscriber, and you will see that I've made 3 calls for tomorrow, 2 longs and 1 short. So out of this list, I'm only playing 2 tomorrow. The EDU triggered on Friday. It's a China stock. The China stocks look really good. The yen broke out. The CWEB looks actually better, believe it or not. But they'll both work or both fail. This is the internet stocks, leverage ETF, and I like them mostly based on the monthly. And it hasn't gone anywhere in 1, 2, 3 years. But once it gets going, just watch out. I mean, it's probably gonna rip. That's the CWEB. Here's the yen. So I like it. Here's BABA. If you want to look at it on the monthly chart, notice the higher low, higher low, higher low, higher high, higher high. So BABA's higher. We have a position in it in the newsletter. It has a monthly buy setup. And so EDU maybe doesn't look as good on the monthly, but it does look good on the daily chart. So I like it higher, over 48.10 by 46.60, and maybe target up here, target 1, and maybe target 2 about 55 on the EDU. The GO had a gap up rather than a gap down, and now it has a base breakout. So long right here, stop right here. I really like that hourly base. Really like it. Rounded bottom, rounded base. So I like it over the highs, stop under. The only issue with the go is the larger time frames don't look as good. So that's the weekly, which looks okay. Doesn't look like it has a ton of room to move. You see what I mean? That's $20, maybe 22, I guess, maybe probably 22, 21. So it has a 1, 2, 3, 4, long over 1880 by 1750, target about 21. It's the monthly chart that I don't like that much, into a declining 20. But the weekly looks good. The weekly and the daily look good. IT we talked about. The PGRE is setting up as a breakout. I don't love it because it actually is setting up as a buy setup and it triggered on Friday. But if you look at the weekly chart, it is setting up as a 1, 2, 3 on the weekly. So long right here, stop right here on the PGRE. It's okay, but it's not amazing. Looks okay, but not amazing. Here's the daily. So it looks okay. Peloton, I was saying, you know, not too seriously about the NEO, that it looked like on the monthly, it looked like it bottomed or bottoming on the NEO monthly chart. Weekly looked even better. And then if you look at the daily, it looked the best, but it didn't have a tight base to get in it, and it just flew. It popped before, you know, before I could find a way in it. So Peloton, the reason why I'm mentioning the Peloton is because it also looks good on the monthly and it looks good on the weekly, right? So interesting. It has a daily buy setup. It triggered already, to tell you the truth, on Thursday. It re-triggered on Friday, and I'm still not in it. The entry now on Monday would be over that tail. Stop perhaps right here or under the big bottoming tail. Since it's would be a longer term play, I would give it the big stop, meaning under this Wednesday's bar, 737, with an entry over 808 as a long-term play based on the weekly and the monthly. REPL we talked about. SRPT is a thing of beauty. I love that daily buy setup. The entry should have been over 2012, which means it triggered already, but I would wait for 2066 to get taken out with a stop under 1850 on the SRPT. Is just a beauty on the daily chart. Really beautiful buy setup. VKTX we talked about. The VOR is not tight of a base. The base is not very tight, but look at that breakdown failure right here and the gap up. So breakdown looks like it's going to zero. Nope, goes back up, and now it's probably headed back up, getting ready to go back up. So I like that a lot, but it's not a very tight stop, and it's not a very tight base, which signals, you know, certainty. Like when we look at the REPL, look at the hourly chart, how tight of a base that was. So anyways, long over the tails, stop right here, and target the prior high. Okay, it's a weekly buy setup on the VOR. The bearish list is just 2 items. PRMB, which is a daily sell setup, short under 2460, stop over 2518, and target maybe 2305 and then 2260 on the PRMB. And then the VSTS, what I like about it is that it double topped, so it retested the prior high and failed to take it out. And now if it can take out the low right here, it would be interesting. The short under 466, let's say, yeah, 466 or so, stop over 505 on the VSTS. Looks good, like it. Lower, and that's it. I don't have anything else short, just 2 items. Now there are some other stocks that are really bullish, but they're late. A lot of the China stocks were in. I mean, they are flying already. They popped hard already. Gold and silver, we talked about gold and silver in last week's video. Look at B, just on fire. I don't know what the KGC has done. Looks great, looks amazing. That's the initial breakout. That's probably the secondary breakout. So a lot of stocks are already up a lot, but tomorrow hopefully is a resting day, is a narrow range bar, and then on Tuesday we can look to aggressively play long if we get a 1, 2, 3 setup. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. But that will do it for this weekend's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you find benefit, please be sure to hit the like button and reach out with any questions. Wish you the best of luck with your trading next week, and I will catch you on the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.